Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now February 6th of 2022, and as we get closer to the release of the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 7, which by the way is going to have a lot of big reveals, and how it's going to set everything up for the Mandalorian Season 3, we also have a lot of things coming our way for the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series by this March, which by the way is when the marketing run begins for that show, before it debuts on Disney Plus come this May. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, I am on Twitter at Mike01 if you guys want to go ahead and give me a follow on there. I do post a couple of entertaining things from time to time and really make sure to interact with you guys further. So what's even all the more exciting right now is that we are currently in a very interesting phase of Star Wars, given that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing everything in their power to bring back Star Wars Legends and mixing it in with the new Disney canon. And one thing I will say about that is that I know some fans are going to have a lot of problems with the fact that they're not going to be staying 100% accurate to Legends per se, but I'm fine and okay with that. I feel like that kind of giving us a fresh take on how Legends should be handled by mixing it in with the Disney canon is good enough for me in my book. You know, I think that a prime example of this is what we saw in Chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett with Luke Skywalker starting his Jedi Academy, and how that attempt all begins with Grogu this time around. So it's kind of a very interesting take on things. Now, on top of this, alright, one thing that a lot of fans have been very intrigued about is exactly what Jon and Dave are doing to actually change major aspects of the original trilogy movies. Now, we've talked about this lightly a couple of months ago. There's a lot of things changing behind the scenes when it comes to all of the retcons, all of the reimagining of specific sequences from the original trilogy and how that's all going to be established and utilized. And this all has to do with, of course, Star Wars Andor. We'll get to that in just a second. Now, on top of this, alright, with Jon and Dave Filoni currently preparing to make big announcements at Star Wars Celebration for new Star Wars shows and lore that will expand the universe, Favreau and Filoni have something very big planned for the future of Star Wars with George Lucas. Now, this is set to involve refilming a big portion of the end of the original trilogy for key scenes taken from both A New Hope and Return of the Jedi that will be remade by Lucasfilm for the Star Wars Andor series. Now further, it's noted that both the Battle of Yavin and the Battle of Endor will be getting brand new alternate versions of those scenes that will be refreshed to expand both battles. This is all set to occur for Star Wars Andor Season 3, which begins filming in the fall of next year, that will debut on Disney Plus in the middle of 2024. The refilming of these scenes will involve a detailed sequence of remaking the saber duel between both Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, as well as refilming the entire space battle sequence for the Battle of Endor that will also introduce new characters that are said to be friends of Cassian Andor. Now keep in mind, alright, this entire attempt by Jon, George, and Dave to really give us a reimagining of both battles of Yavin and Endor are going to be done, in a sense, after the death of Cassian Andor. So just keep that in mind. I don't want anybody out there to get confused, like, how would Andor be alive during this time? He's not going to be. He's dead. He's been dead ever since Rogue One: A Star Wars Story's ending, and there's no way that they're going to retcon that. He's going to stay dead at that point in time. But what we are getting with Cassian Andor Season 1 and 2, and the majority of Season 3, is everything that takes place before Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. And that, to me, I think is going to be a very interesting take. Now, moving on forward from all of that, alright, we already know that Diego Luna is doing a lot of work on Season 2 already. They're going to begin filming Season 2 by this fall, so Andor is already moving along smoothly. However, even though Andor will be dead during both Yavin and Endor's battle, the series will actually jump ahead in time to showcase the reimagining of these famous battles in Star Wars. This is all set to include showing fans a more realistic explosion sequence of both Death Stars from A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, where they are planning to make the explosion very cinematic, leaving tons of wreckage floating in space and even crash landing on nearby planets and/or moons. Scenes of the forest moon of Endor is also set to be a big deal for the refilming of these sequences that will feature new on-ground battle sequences that George Lucas is going to be helping out with. George Lucas is said to be the one who surprisingly gave the okay on refilming these scenes, because even he himself wants to expand these famous battles from the original trilogy movies in order to do some incredible things. Now, Disney also agreed to do this because it will allow new fans of Star Wars to want to check into the original trilogy and witness the original versions of those scenes. New side plots will also be introduced in the making of those scenes, including the refilming of Palpatine's death and giving fans the first view of him using his essence transfer technique to take his spirit out of his falling body across space to travel into the clone body on Exegol. Now, that sequence in particular is going to become a part of the refilmed original trilogy sequence for Andor Season 3 as well. So far, Andor is set to only have 3 seasons, but the very end will be a love letter to the original trilogy movies by remaking these iconic battles, and the duel between both Vader and Luke on the second Death Star. Lucasfilm is also set to bring in some new characters that will join the fight in the Battle of Endor to expand the story even more so. Brand new tracks that went unused by John Williams will also be included in these new sequences for Andor Season 3. That, to me, I think is a very interesting, addition. The fact that they will be using a lot of unused tracks and themes, songs, whatever have you, by John Williams that are going to be implemented into Andor Season 3. That's going to be magical. Now, I'm a little mixed on this, guys. I will be honest with you. The fact that they are pushing forward with refilming Yavin and Endor's battle. To me, I think it's a little risky, but since it's going to be done by George, John, and Dave, you know what? I trust them. I really do. I have all faith in them. I believe that they're going to do things right. They're not going to go too far to make things a little too outlandish as far as remaking things go, but they are going to give the Battle of Yavin and Endor a real, deep, cinematic feel. And they want to make it like the opening of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. You guys remember the battle over Coruscant? They want to make it as intense as that, and kind of giving it a more modern look. And that, to me, is going to be a very interesting reimagining. They will be refilming specific portions like the Death Stars exploding and how the wreckage of those 2 super weapons fall onto the surface of specific moons and nearby planets, or wreckage that sits in space that actually interferes with the space battle. It's kind of like what you saw in the Battlefront 2 video game. If you guys have not seen the cutscenes, go ahead and check out Battlefront 2 Death Star Explosion. It'll give you a better idea of what they're kind of aiming for with Andor Season 3 and how that's going to really be used, or utilized in a sense. To me, you know what? I think it's ambitious. I think it is quite creative for George, John, and Dave to do this. Is it a little bit lazy? I'm not quite sure. I don't think so. I think that, if anything, this is their opportunity to really give us a real expansive and realistic view of the second Death Star and the first one exploding, and how that could really be redone in a sense. The fact that they are also going to be giving us Palpatine using his essence transfer technique, that's another thing that I think will explain a lot of things for, of course, the rise of Skywalker and such. But overall, guys, I would love to hear what you have to say about this. Are you worried about this approach for Disney and Lucasfilm to take advantage of? Do you think that George, John, and Dave are over their heads by doing this? Myself, I will say that I think it's going to be fun as long as it's written and executed very well. That's all it takes, really. So, yeah, like I say, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night